SHIRO Saturn SHIRO.
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Happy late SHIRO show. We are
SHIRO's
8 minutes late, but it's better late than never, right?
No, SHIRO is never late. He arrives exactly when he means to.
That's right.
So,
SHIRO.
You know,
and
we're on time.
Jack has been kind of in the backstage with us, kind of seeing what a catastrophe it is every Friday. I kid you not.
It's a happy accident over and over and over again.
Oh yeah, very happy, very happy. I'm swearing back here. OBS is just like, I want to break my computer, but it's all good. It's all good. I love it. No, I hate
some love for my my Microsoft Bimbo shirt.
Yeah, TraynoCo says that he loves the shirt.
Thank you. It's from a guy named Nick Robinson. He does a bunch of videos. He did a video on Microsoft Binbo's store in Japan, which actually will be a good segue about Japan in a little bit for my update. But
did you actually get a new laptop, or is that like a little retro laptop that you shared?
Oh,
you get like a Panasonic.
This actually is a Panasonic. It's called a Let's Note. It's a
Let's Note, yeah.
Japanese little laptop. Nice. It's actually from 2019.
Oh, nice.
So it's Windows 7, and I think or Windows 10. But I think my favorite thing about that is like the laptop itself. So it's like this little thing.
Yeah.
Little Panasonic. I'll see if I can get a view of it booting up. If it's not
got like this tiny little circular touchpad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the best part is the OS I'm running on it.
Microsoft Bimbos. Bimbos.
You'll see. You guys will see.
Yeah. It's funny, we don't really get a lot of Panasonic laptops over here. You do get like the Tough Books, which I've seen like people use on contractor stuff, and you don't. I never see Panasonic laptops in the stores.
Yeah. Did you guys hear that?
But they're big in Japan.
No.
Oh, it was the basically. If you guys have noticed, there's something a little bit off.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this is a green screening out, but it's basically this little laptop. It uses this thing called Windows Experience. It's basically a modified Windows 10 to look like Microsoft Windows XP. And I use it mostly to mostly I want to do it for the conventions and stuff. So I have a little laptop we can do stuff on.
Nice.
But I also do it for probably one of the most important uses of it, and that's for Project Toho. Of course, that's what the main use of it is, for Toho games.
Toho games. Nice.
So
okay, fair enough.
But yeah, no, it's a really nice laptop. Really cool. It's actually really light. Like feels like nothing in my hand.
Yeah, I can tell you're just holding it with one hand. I mean, that's how my netbook is.
Yeah.
And, when I had a laptop in college, that thing was like heavy. It was a honker. You had to pick it up with both hands or it was going to slip out of your fingers. And it's like, I got this netbook earlier this year and the thing is like nothing.
Is that like a Core i5 or something? Or like Centrino or something?
It's a Core i5 8th gen. So
okay. Like a Coffee Lake.
Yeah, Coffee Lake one. It's really nice though. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's a nice little laptop. Ignore the error there. But yeah, it's really nice. I like it a lot. It's good for cons. It's really nice and light. Like it feels like it's nothing. Like this is like I have a netbook from 2009, and like that's like heavier than this thing is. This thing is like more than powerful than that, like 20 times its power almost.
Right.
Yeah. But just so light, you just like pick it up. But yeah, it's a nice little thing. Yeah, I got it from Japan. I think I paid about $300 for it. So pretty good deal on it for.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
And that was importing it too.
On the top of the back of the flip cover. I don't know why. It reminds me of that little laptop you get in Space Quest. I don't know. Maybe it's just that's what came to mind because I've been watching some stuff recently.
It reminds me of a silver, like an original Nintendo DS.
It kind of does, yeah.
It's got that like really bulky kind of DS fat look on the back.
Honestly, it kind of feels. I wouldn't be surprised if it was close to the weight of an original DS.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Because those are actually pretty chunky. Shouts to the 24 people in the chat. Memphis is here. Pudgy, of course. Tom Fum, Colin Pierce, Neil Henderson, Eric. Danthrax is with us. David Zaney, shouts, bro. Scotty Mo Faux Show is in the chat with us. We've got Con, I can't say your name. Hello from Turkey, though. Hey, how's it going? Let's see. Soruko Kitsu. I can't. It's so
I think
small.
that's a character from Kingdom Hearts, I think.
Soruko, yeah. Mike Garcia. Who else can we say hi to? And that's everybody for right now. Oh, we just had Max Abramson chime in. So for everyone that's in the chat, if you guys could thumb up, like the stream, share it out if you can. That would be awesome.
There we go.
Share out, people.
I did it before I came over here, so.
Excellent,
Nice.
excellent. Full disclosure, I'm still sick, but I'm doing the best I can. My tank is empty. I'm ready to clock out.
He's like what's his name, running on empty? Jackson Brown.
Jackson Brown, running on empty,
My parents love
running
Jackson
dry.
Brown.
I like
Not
Jackson
Charlie.
Brown too.
You're a trooper, Dave. You're still here. You're here for the fans.
I'm here for the fans. I'm here for the fans. I have a question for the fans. I have a question for the fans. Maybe I can outsource my problem. As with all of technical difficulties. So I would really love to play Arjack's game. I would really love to play this game, right? But I take my SD card out of my satiator, right? Mm-hmm. And I pop it into my computer, and I can't delete or do anything with the files, and the little lock thing on the SD card is not engaged, so it's not locked.
Okay, that was what I was about to ask.
It's not that. Yeah, it's not like a stupid "did you turn it on" or like kind of thing. It's like I'm wondering like if anybody else has ever had that issue where all of a sudden you can't delete or can't copy or do anything with the files on the SD card.
Is it
No, I've never had that.
read only? I mean,
Like that's when I go properties, when I right click properties, it says read only, but I'm like, why? It's not locked. It shouldn't be read only. When you can actually switch it to not read only and have it apply to all of the folders and subfolders, but then when you open it back up, it's read only again. I'm just like, what the heck? I don't know.
Another machine. Maybe it might be a thing on your machine itself.
Yeah,
the
maybe.
check box, is it a check mark or just like a little square in it?
Yeah, it's actually like a check mark. I'll actually plug it in right now. Yeah, it's so weird. I've been using this SD card for my satiator forever, and like I go in here, right click properties. It's read only, and it's like got the dark black square in there. It's not a check mark. It's like a dark black square. So it's like checked.
I had this problem before. I think that actually means that some of it is marked read only, but not everything. I think I had this exact same problem not too long ago, where the confusion, because a check mark means it's completely read only. The black box means that it's just partially read only,
which is strange because I haven't made any changes to it since the last time, and I often pull it out of the satiator, put new games on it, put it back in, right? That's so weird. Anyway, if anybody comes up with any ideas, I'm more than... Card may be failing. I was afraid of that. It's a 256 Pro Plus Samsung. Like, I paid big money to get like a more reliable version of the card, and here we are.
I mean, as much of a hassle as it might be, you could try, doing a good old-fashioned reformat on the card, and then put everything back on, or at least put a couple things back on, and
that's what I'm gonna have to do.
Making sure it's working. Yeah,
it sucks.
Before throwing it away.
Yeah,
and if it's not working in Windows, you might have to get a Linux distro and just wipe it that way.
Oh, brother.
True.
That's really the Trekkies. That's Trekkie. I think it's a Knights model. The only way to truly format something is using Linux, but I don't fully believe that.
Mm-hmm.
It just sounds like Linux elitism.
I mean, there's an official SD card formatting tool that you can get from like the SD card association or whatever like that. I can use that one too. But yeah, it's a strange thing. I'll try to troubleshoot it some more. I just figured somebody might have experienced that. But anyway, I won't be playing JB Herald until I figure this situation out because I don't have any CDRs anymore. Can't burn
Well,
discs.
you could play it on an emulator. Perfectly reasonable.
This is true.
Option.
Good point. Yes,
Yeah.
I could.
And
I
as
suppose I could
have
do
been
that.
extolling the virtues of, like in the Sega Extreme thread for JB Herald, the BizHawk emulator works pretty well with it.
And if I'm really
So-
desperate, I could even play it on my phone, right? Because there are plenty of
Yeah.
decent emulators for,
Yabasan Shiro is
for
on Android.
Android phones.
I can bring my
It
laptop
gets
and we can play
updated
it on that.
Android. Yeah, you can do that too.
So for folks who don't know what we're talking about the brand new JB Herald, detective noir. It's like an
game.
adventure mystery novel thing. It's an FMV
Yeah.
game, and Arjack is actually with us in the chat to talk about it today. So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
this is his project to localize it into English, and it just came out this week. It was
Aside-
final. He's been putting out updates periodically over the last year that he's been working on it, but he finally finished it this week.
Oh, you
right,
just
Arjack?
reminded me. Updates.
Yeah, I mean, people are still find. The worst part is when people find like, oh, I think I found a bug, but it's accurate to the Japanese version. It's not my fault.
Yeah.
That stuff is in there. Yeah.
Yeah, so are you talking about like sometimes the game will just show like a still image, but you're hearing audio and it's not showing like full motion video? Someone in the Sega Extreme thread thought that was a mistake. And like when I was playing it and I saw that, my first instinct was, oh, they're just, they didn't feel like recording video for this. So it like made sense to me. I'm like, oh, it probably is just an image. It didn't occur to me there'd be like a mistake or a bug until that person who I suggested, hey, use the BizHawk emulator, was trying it out and was like, hey, is this a bug? Is something wrong with the emulator? And then I'm kind of panicked, like, oh no, did I give a bad recommendation? Is BizHawk screwing up?
Dan lost his SHIRO status.
But no, hey, let's not
As
get
I
too
stated in my reply, I think they just they shot everything on video, and you can see
Right.
that if you play the PC or laser active version. But for a lot of the console ports, especially the ones that use the Japanese dub, they did a lot of stuff where they just made scenes audio only. So and they
just to
have
save room, so it's fewer
Yeah.
discs, right?
Exactly. The PC version's on 5 discs because
Wow.
everything is in video. I mean,
Yeah. And it's
so
only 2 for the Saturn.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, well, you should
So,
say video killed the radio store after all.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about your experience of working on this? Like, this was your first Saturn game that you've done any like hacking on to translate, correct?
This is my first translation period.
Okay. What was it like?
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's been a ride, that's for sure. I mean,
Yeah, I'll bet.
I mean, to learn how to do all this, I mean, I have to give tremendous thanks to the community, especially at Sega Extreme, for answering all my
the
little
legends.
diddly questions and everything, because it was... I mean, I went in basically knowing nothing, especially about how to do stuff on the Saturn, and I think... But there were a few things that I think really worked in my favor for this being my first translation. First off was the fact that there was the original English version.
Right.
And the fact that it was, on the PC version, it was just like standard AVI video files, which made it very easy to convert and everything into the video and audio clips that I would
Now, how
need.
did you convert it into, was it Cinepack for the Saturn or TrueMotion?
Yeah. Cinepack.
Okay, and what did you do to convert that?
Oh, it was quite a process. So, first of all, for you take the video file corresponding to the scene you want to convert, and then oh god, now I'm on the spot, and it's like, oh god, how did I do that again? I think
Okay.
the first. No, I remember. The first step was putting the AVI file, making sure it was like the right kind of format of AVI file, and then because it says AVI, but there's like different like codecs and stuff that you have to worry about, and apparently the one is just like standard uncompressed AVI. And then that's the first step, and then you got to go to and during this portion, when I'm doing like the audio only stuff, this is also where I edit to try to remove any dead space where the actors are, doing blocking related stuff that you can't see.
Mhm.
Okay,
so-
like for the audio only segments, yeah.
Exactly. Sometimes there's a lot of like stuff where the actors are just doing blocking and other actions that you can't really see because it's audio only in some scenes. So
Right.
I was able to do some editing at this point as well. So, but then here comes the fun part. Here comes the fun part when you got to go into, Sheep Shaver, your old Mac OS emulator, and copy the files over to a Macintosh simulation, and use the old programs that they used back in the day for the Saturn. I just
Nice.
first I convert the AVIs to MOVs, the QuickTime movie format. And that's where you do a lot of like this configuration of like, with the bit rate and
Right.
all that. And that's a key point because, the 1X or 2X CD-ROM drive, you gotta make it so it's at a quality and whatever that it can handle.
Mm-hmm.
So, so then you actually, once you have the movie files, the QuickTime videos ready, that's when you use the special proprietary program. I think it's called Movie to Saturn.
Yeah, it's like a homebrew tool that the community's developed.
Yes. And then once I do that, I am able to take the resulting CPK files, the Cinepack files, and transfer them back over to my main Windows environment. And
Nice.
for the audio only files, that's where the story ends. But I discovered that when I do the movie scenes, that they actually become much bigger in size than the original. So I've been making use, in the later versions, I made use of Trekkies Unite's Muxer program to combine the audio from the version I make and combine it with the video of the original Japanese version in a lot of cases. And somehow that makes it smaller, so...
Was that easy to use?
It was pretty easy, except in the early days there was a problem where if you tried to do more than one video at a time, it would like glitch out. So you had to like exit after each one. You had to exit out. I don't know what caused this. It might have been like a problem with my computer. It could have been a problem with the cache not clearing in the program or whatever.
Right.
But so I had to like exit out after every single one and then go back in and do another one, and I had to reload the right folder each time, and it's just like but we got
a lot of stuff. But I think it's really cool. I tried to do that myself when I was working on the Resident Evil thing, trying to get the old cutscenes, but it was just like there was so much work because you had to like go into the files in the hex editor itself, replace the whole string, and then pad it or make it smaller. It just was kind of a nightmare to do. And I was like, I don't think I have time to do all that stuff. But I'd like to go back to that eventually.
In chat, Momfist is saying that this story reminds him of so much. Of course, he worked on Bulk Slash's video stuff, so that's funny that it's given him flashbacks.
Right. And that was just the video and audio bits. I mean, the text was a whole nother beast altogether.
Yeah, you had to learn how to do some graphics editing on the Saturn as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, luckily, just my standard kind of Photoshop clone, GIMP, and, Crystal Tile 2 to convert from, like, the raw data to, BMP, bitmap and, edit those and then replace those back in.
Right.
But even that was, like, a learning process, though. You gotta...
go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, even you have to learn how to use Crystal Tile 2 and everything. But I think the hardest part in terms of the graphics, though, is definitely what you, Danthrax, wrote about in the article, the goodbye letter you get from your partner.
Yeah, you had to clear all that Japanese text off of the background by basically redrawing the background as best you could, because it's all just one image. It's not like multiple layers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And
nightmare. You're a hero for doing that, because I know how hard that can be.
oh my god, the only part I'm not completely proud of is there's like a picture of the guy, your partner, in the background, and his forehead doesn't look quite 100% right, but I did the best I could, and I think it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's something only you're going to notice. I don't think anyone else who wasn't there working on it themselves is going to notice there's something around the forehead. So, yeah, I think you did a good job.
And now there's going to, when they're in the game, there's going to be English text over it, so, you know.
Right, and that'll mask it too. So in chat, Crimson Dragoon has a question for you, Arjack. They said, after finishing JB Herald, are you currently eyeing other Saturn games to translate, or are you going to move on to another system to translate games on, or just take a break, I guess? What are you planning to do now?
Well, that's a good question. First of all, I think I am going to take a little bit of a break.
That's understandable.
But I have been looking at other potential games to translate, and I have done a little bit of work on hacking the Godzilla real-time strategy game for Saturn.
Oh, that's
Neat.
cool. Yeah, I know. Didn't Sega publish that game?
I couldn't tell you, but I know.
I think they may have. I think I remember looking at that on Sega Retro or something one time. That's cool. You're looking into that.
I do need a translator. Duralumin, unfortunately, was not able to do this project as well. He was super busy with other things, and
he worked on JB Herald with you.
Yes, and he did a great job, and I'm very grateful for all the hard work he put in. I mean, he saved my bacon, as it were.
That's good. Yeah, because your sister started translating initially, and then she couldn't keep going with it.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever want to help me with Resident Evil, I could really use the help trying to get that whole process set up. I would love to either point me in how to was it assembly line do that?
Oh God, I don't know assembly yet, so that's something.
Sorry, assembly line as in get me in an assembly line of doing it, so I don't have to.
Oh yeah. So,
programming.
Yeah, not program. I can do the program. Just the assembly line aspects. A lot of it is just like inserting and padding, but I think the issue is the video encoding is my big stopper.
So what are you doing right now? You're working on the Saturn version of Resident Evil?
Yeah, so basically what I want to do is I want to replace all the cutscenes in the original Japanese PS1, the I got a shotgun opening and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I want to do all those and all the music from the original first pressing of the game and the uncensored cutscenes in the Resident Evil on the Saturn, which is kind of what I'd like to do.
Does it have like the director's cut soundtrack?
No, it has the original soundtrack.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, no, that's why I think it's kind of cool to be the best version of it. I thought you wanted to do the color version. Honestly, I just want to do the uncensored version and the music change. Is sort of what I want to do. Is just because I I really like the original opening and closing of that, and just the uncensored video is also to be pretty cool as well.
Yeah, I mean, I still am just flummoxed how Capcom screwed that up, back in the day.
All right, well, is there anything else you'd like to say about JB Herald or say to anybody watching this, RJ?
I don't want to go into any details, but have all three of you tried the game out yet?
Yeah, I've played some of it. I haven't been able to, get to disc 2 yet.
I played the early preview, but I'm very much wanting to play it in its entirety now. I just have to figure out my satiator. I have to figure out this SD card issue. And if I have to pop in like a smaller card just to be able to play it as a one-off, I'll do it. But
good. I was getting a little concerned because I came on like, oh, maybe today's the day.
Yeah. No.
I think the issue with me is that it's been harder for me to stream because I have an RPG like right after this, and we usually run a little bit late, and by the time it's like it's gonna be like a 20-minute stream, then I have to turn it off, and it's like yeesh.
Oh god, you want to get going on the news or whatever? Or?
Yeah, we definitely can, and we could start with this just to reiterate. Let's see, I'll bring up the browser. We're talking about JB Herald here, except the browser's not coming up.
Blue Chicago Blues.
Oh, that's strange.
Yeah,
The browser's
and
not
for
coming
anybody
up.
who wants to try this out for themselves, of course, you can download the patch from the resources area on SegaExtreme.com, which we do link to from our story on SHIRO.
Yep.
So it does also come
me
with the
see.
patcher utility that you need, which is the version 1.95 Sega Saturn patcher that Night of Dragon, of course, made. So
Yes,
that was nice you included that.
There we go.
Yes, well, the problem is that we were the patcher I was using for earlier versions didn't support a special new edition I've made to in with the old patcher. The whole disk image would be all messed up, and it's weird. I had to basically make the patch in 1.91 and then include the patcher for 1.95 in order to, which is the one that actually would patch the game correctly. It was really weird.
I'm sure Knight's working on a version that's going to just work for all uses for everybody. I know he's been a little busy with some other things, like with the Saturn Netlink stuff.
Fair enough.
But oh yeah, I see the images that you had to like Photoshop all of that out, like in between, and like kind of that's crazy.
I went in with Gimp and redrew every little bit of the background. That covering
Wild.
I can see that. It's the face that is crazy that you were able to do that. I mean, the other thing, there's a lot of solid color and gradient there that you were able to kind of but the face, man, I understand the difficulty there. That's crazy. But I mean,
I can
my
imagine
hats off to you for doing
magic erase tool and erasing, and,
right?
and then color matching. I'm having an anxiety attack just thinking about that. I just
Exactly.
when I made that background for the Microsoft Bimbos thing, that was a lot of that, and that was a drawing, and that was a little bit easier. I couldn't imagine doing it for all of that. Oh my god,
it's kind of crazy that they would bake that in, like that they would bake the text in like that to the image. But
I could not find a blank version in any of the other anywhere. So I was kind of pushed into a corner to do what I did, but I think it turned out pretty good. I mean,
like you said, when you put the English text on top, most people aren't even going to notice because it's going to be obscured. But
one thing that I don't know if I mentioned during the when I was doing this, I mentioned in Discord. I don't know if I mentioned this, but there are two endings, and depending on what ending you get, the letter changes. And the one thing that really helped me get the face right was the fact that on the, I'll just call it bad ending letter, a lot of the face was uncovered.
Oh, okay.
And
so you were like copy.
Good.
There you go.
Yeah,
transpose it.
Yeah, bits of pixel, and and that
you do what you got to do, right?
Right.
That helped me have enough to work off of for doing the rest that I could by hand.
Yeah.
Because I could see the easy part would be the building on the left with the black on that.
Yeah.
That part is the easiest part, and then the rest, once you get to the face and the sky, it's like, oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, you can see there's like multiple layers of like stuff going on. You got the city background, you got your partner, you got a letter and pen.
Yep. Well, kudos.
Much respect.
Yep. For sure.
Thank
and
you.
Folks should definitely go check this game out if you haven't. If you are, interested in new translation projects, this is an awesome one. Definitely, it's cool to see that they brought a bunch of PC ports to the Saturn in Japan. Certainly, some of them I think would have done well over here. All things considered, consider nothing really did well over here, but I think a lot of relatively speaking, I think that there are quite a few of those PC ports that I just go like, so you didn't release this, but you released, Mr. Bones or something,
I mean, honestly, Mr. Bones is the correct choice.
Right.
My only regret is that I was hoping to also do the 3DO version, but and maybe some other versions, but my initial attempts to edit the 3DO version I couldn't get very far.
Yeah.
Because it's an even more niche system, so it's So the tools aren't quite on the level that I need to properly edit that version, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel bad saying that because I did kind of initially start by trying to translate that version, and kind of in desperation moved over to the Saturn version. Not knocking the Saturn, obviously
I'll knock the Saturn.
Hey, I mean, we benefit, right, from the 3DO being too hard for you.
We're glad you moved over to the Saturn.
Exactly.
In any case, there's a version of the game in full English that is affordable now. I think. I don't know, but.
Yeah, you don't have to get a laser active, right?
Oh God.
I don't know. I think honestly, I think that's worth the price. A couple $1,000 machine and probably $1,000 game. That's worth
and $1,000 for the little add-on you need to play it.
Right.
Exactly.
If you need an add-on,
good prices,
brother.
Oh, the laser active is insane.
It is.
I mean, I feel bad because I really want it to be emulated because it's funny after I. There's always some people who, you're happy you finished a project, and then there's always someone. I'm not going to name names, but
I know exactly what you mean.
But the moment I release it, someone's like, "Oh, are you going to do Manhattan Requiem too? The other FMV JB Herald game?" And I'm just like, "Oh God."
You need a breather.
Yeah, exactly. I'd love to come back to JB Herald at some point, but that is sometime down the road, maybe.
It also just depends on each game. It just depends on what it entails, right? This one, you were lucky enough. I mean, it still was a lot of hard work, but you were lucky enough to have it be manageable enough, on the Saturn, where you could actually do it, So that's the thing.
The real, I would have loved to have done Manhattan Requiem. The problem is there's only the version that people are probably interested in, the FMV remake. I think it only came out on Laser Active. I don't think it came out on any other platforms that would facilitate a port, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you one thing, I've been hearing a lot of talk about plumbers don't wear ties. Limited Run is re-releasing plumbers don't wear ties. I guarantee you that this game is going to be a better experience.
I'm still waiting. Limited Run promised, an English CD of Rondo of Blood. That was like a couple of years ago. I'm still waiting for an update on that.
Luckily they didn't put it on for pre-orders. That would be kind of suck if you had to wait for those.
Oh man.
But they haven't even updated since after their announcement, which just like
that was like 2 years ago. It was like 2021, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they announced the E3 event they had. Yeah. I swear didn't they announce something else that was like a reprint as well that they're coming out with?
I don't remember because I was waiting for the news on Rondo of Blood, and it's like
I'm excited for Trip World personally. I want that to come out soon.
Oh yeah, and RZ.
But I'm biased though, so.
So
RZ definitely. I definitely want to play RZ legit though.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I want to definitely support projects like that. Trip World, again, like because of all the cool stuff that they've done to it, it looks great. But plumbers don't wear ties is like, that's, meme culture and YouTube culture.
Yeah, it's like an AVGN thing.
And I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, the argument, I'm not for it or against it. I'm not bashing Limited Run or anything like that. They're saying, we have to give people a reason to try to like play this terribly bad game. Well, how about the fact that it's going to be incredibly rare and valuable because you're only going to print so many of them, right? I mean, anybody who buys that is going to have a little nest egg there because I'm pretty sure that it's not going to be, it's going to be just as rare as the originals, right? There's only going to be so many of them.
Buy them, but you can buy the. I think the worst thing is that it's coming out with a vinyl soundtrack too.
Oh my god! Oh.
I'm not even.
Are they going to do a skate deck too? They like making skate decks of
anything.
Their games.
I feel like this is proof that anything can happen. So I'm just going to hope that means that maybe there's a future where we'll get something like Top Skater in a console on the Switch or something like that. Or where we'll get. I don't know. If plumbers don't wear ties can come out, then I feel like almost anything can happen. You know.
Listen, I straight up, I want Hong Kong 97 on the SNES.
Hong
Make
Kong
it happen, LRG.
Yeah.
I want a vinyl single for that song, and I want a physical release of Hong Kong 97. Make it happen.
Oh my god.
I would like the Famicom Detective Club series translated in English and released on the Switch. That would be amazing.
Didn't
they did
do
a couple of them.
It's the remake.
They
Didn't
did.
Did they do the Super Famicom Detective Club?
There was
Switch?
a fan remake. There was a fan translation of the the version of 2 on Super Famicom, and and Nintendo themselves translated the Switch remakes that came out not too long ago.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Was
Well,
there a
maybe
physical release of that one though?
that's what I'm
Sorry?
hoping.
No, they're just on the
Oh,
eShop.
right. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
sucks,
I
yeah.
was just hoping that like Limited Run would pick that up, or somebody would
Oh, God,
do like a
Oh,
physical.
I don't think they'd ever do a Nintendo.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh,
It's
no.
yeah.
If ever there was a game company that was like the spoiled rotten brat, no, they're my toys and you can't play with
Right.
them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know the only reason why we got Mother 1 and 2 on vinyl, the soundtrack, is because it's technically a Sony-owned soundtrack.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's really the only reason why those two are released on vinyl. But those are really the only two official Nintendo ones, bar promo stuff like the Splatoon 2 OST, the Splatoon 2 soundtrack on vinyl. Oh no, there was an Animal Crossing one. They did a Animal Crossing with KK Slider songs.
Fun fact.
I forgot about that. So technically, that's the official first release is Tell Your Mother 2, then Animal Crossing with KK Slider songs. But
Okay.
just some fun facts on that. But
Speaking of fun
yeah,
facts,
I do really want all the games physical.
we have something to talk about. Our boy Panda is releasing a excellent video this Saturday, this Saturn day. You guys have to tune in. It will be a live stream, or it will be a live premiere. So he'll be in the chat, and you guys can chat while you watch. And it is epic. I watched it twice. It was worth it.
I actually did too. I tell you, I listened to it on the way home. I had a big drive to Phoenix, so I just like put it on in the background.
Yeah.
It's a good listen if you just want to listen to it.
They are just amazing.
And it's just, it's not like we've been living this info for like the last several weeks and stuff like that. So it was really just reiterating everything that I've already, but the fact that he did such a great job crystallizing it, you know, like this would be definitely a go-to.
It does.
Yeah, this is like a go-to video for you guys to basically take you through the sprawling epic and kind of crystallize all the facts into a very digestible mini documentary. It's excellent, and you guys definitely need to check it out.
Mike Garcia asked 2 hour plus documentary. No, it's only about an hour long.
Like an hour long?
To disappoint. Yeah, it's about an hour.
I wish it was 2 hours long. I could watch, you know, like
of course, Patreon patrons have already had access to it all week, so they've gotten to check it out early. So you can,
like I said, I watched it twice. So I mean, it was
I mean, if you guys want to watch it right now, you could back us on Patreon at the $3 up level
and get access. Yeah, this is
Panda
true.
Directly.
Or Panda directly.
Or Panda, yeah.
Yep.
He has a Patreon too.
Yes,
Either
he does.
one. I mean, we're not going to tell you who to pick, but if you could do both, I would say do that.
Yeah.
But
Definitely be there on be there tomorrow for the live stream at what was it 10 or 11? I should say. Let's see here.
It says it's in 16 hours, so it's at 8 a.m. my time, 8 a.m. Arizona.
8 a.m. Arizona.
So
that would probably be 11 a.m. Eastern.
11
Yeah,
Eastern.
11 Eastern.
Okay, that is what he said. I remembered it was 11 a.m., but I couldn't remember what time zone. So it's 11 a.m.
It's 11
Eastern.
a.m. somewhere in the world, Dave.
It's 11 a.m. somewhere. Get my beer.
R.I.P.
But seriously, definitely check it out. You know, you guys watched it, right? Dan, you watched it.
Yeah.
Pat, you watched it. Anything?
Yeah, I said I watched it twice.
Any closing remarks or anything you want to say about it before we like move on to the next item?
Honestly, this is, I guess it's kind of criticism, but I like it. But if you already watched, been following all of us on all the Sega 1997 documents, it's kind of more of a nutshell of it. like a lot nutshell. There's some new details here and there, but for the most part, it's pretty much what we all covered throughout the.
Right.
Yeah, if
the
you don't
months
like
that
to
we're doing that.
read, if you don't like to read,
Well,
then there's something
we
you can
also
watch. And
we also covered it like on the audio and stuff too. But
Right.
like I said,
Yeah.
I'm not knocking it, but I like it. Like I just don't want people to be disappointed. Like, oh well, we already heard this already. It's like, yeah,
Right.
it's a fun documentary.
Yeah,
it's a great nutshell if you don't know anything about it.
yeah, it's a good digest of the stuff we learned that we covered a couple of months ago from those fiscal year leaked documents. So, but I mean, of course, Panda always does a great job with his presentation and the way he
All the
organizes
extra
information.
visual. Yeah.
Yeah, with his visuals and stuff. So it still is a fun watch. And, at the very least, it kind of nails down some of those details in your head, because it has been a couple of months since
What
it
it
first
does,
came out. So.
Yeah, what I think it does add is a little bit more in the way of context. He of course he uses that Sega test video that it has been used in several of his videos, but
he uses Irimajiri's recently unearthed interview for some extra context as well, which is good.
Yeah, and so the Irimajiri stuff is not something that he would have done in his original stream where he went through the document. So yeah, the Irimajiri stuff is great, and then there's also
it's kind of new
extra context from the MD Shock interviews, like the stuff from David Rosen was in there. A few comments from the CFO were in there, and then also what was it? Even an article from the kid, from this guy recently who posted about working at Babbage's during the launches of the Saturn and the Dreamcast and whatnot. That was in there. So there's a bunch of extra little content in there that kind of help paint a broader picture of everything. I definitely feel like this is the best format for you guys to get this story if you haven't consumed it yet, or if you haven't been following us.
Or if you just want to iterate and hear somebody else's opinion, because it's also a lot of it's kind of fit with his opinion, but it's more of a it's more open, but there's still some interesting opinion stuffs in there, which I like. I was like getting another, but yeah, it's a really nice digestible story. Hopefully I didn't sound like I was knocking it. I'm just saying that if you have heard it, it might not be the most exhilarating, revelating story, but it's still a good watch. I'd watch it just for the entertainment value alone.
It's like this, heard it before, it's the same information repackaged is basically what it is.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this comes from the guy that watched My Life in Gaming videos over and over and over again, even though it's the same thing. So I can't really be judging. I like that stuff, so it doesn't bother me. But some people it bothers. I don't know why. It's kind of weird, but.
Rainbow Cotton is getting an HD remaster in 2024. This is significant.
Our favorite willow eating witch.
Yes,
he's
definitely your favorite
game.
Yeah, cute. And someone we know is involved in this, right?
Yeah,
was it?
Maybe.
It's one guy. I forgot what his name is on. Who's on the Twitter?
Andreas Scholl.
Andreas Scholl.
Yeah, Andreas Scholl. That's the person that we're talking about.
And this was the person who was working on like the Burning Rangers HD thing, right?
Yeah.
Am I getting that right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, you got it right.
Yeah. He did. He kind of ported Burning Rangers to the PC using Unity. He kind of like recreated the game, but then he uses all of the original art and audio assets. So like he puts out his Unity code, and then you have to kind of patch it with the copy of Burning Rangers or the Saturn that you should already own to get those art and audio assets, and then you can play it sort of in HD-ish on your computer, which is super cool. Yeah, that was Andreas Scholl. He worked on that,
but not the whole game. It was like kind of like a half-done fan project kind of thing, proof of concept thing, I think. Did
Andreas say what he worked on for this project, or is it still just
that I wasn't clear on
this sort of thing?
I think he said something about porting it, so I think he has worked on actually porting it to modern consoles, which I believe they announced that it's coming to was it the Xbox, the PS4, the PS5, the Switch, and to Steam. So all of the modern consoles.
Yeah, and with this one, I think besides the Neo Geo Pocket game, all the Cotton games are accessible on like new platforms and playable in English. Well, actually, not in English. I don't think Cotton 2 and Cotton Boomerang are in English, but still accessible to people.
Yeah, they're at least accessible on modern consoles. You can buy them for an affordable amount of money. Digitally, they were released physically through Strictly Limited. Strictly Limited, I think, is going to do another. I think they did tweet out they're going to do something for Rainbow Cotton as well, but they haven't said what yet. There'll probably be a collector's edition with stuff, and then just a
to wait half a year
edition.
for that.
Yeah, or more. They take their time with the manufacturing, but when they do come through, it is a lot of cool stuff. I've gotten
and it's all good quality that you've gotten. Nothing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. And you know what? Most importantly of all, no burger crumbs.
No burger crumbs.
In Strictly Limited's releases, I am very happy. There are no bonus burger crumbs like in a certain other company's Shantae game that they sent me.
I mean, at least you know it's people packing your stuff up, right?
Yeah,
at least you know it's humans,
not robots. And they're well fed.
And they're well fed.
So that's good too. I'm happy for them.
Packing it on their lunch break, right?
Yeah. Maybe it fell out of somebody's beard. I don't know.
Oh my god!
Why is somebody why is Martin? Why are you downvoting lazy game reviews?
I know, seriously.
I really like some stuff. Don't be hating lazy game reviews.
Clint is one of my favorites.
So I'm playing. I know what you meant, but
I'll point out that Rainbow Cotton was originally a Dreamcast game that came out in the year 2000. Only came out in Japan, and it's kind of a behind-the-back view game, kind of like the Mega Drive Genesis game Panorama Cotton, or plays like Space Harrier, essentially. Of course, it's not quite as or Star Fox. Yeah. Rainbow Cotton's a little slower than that. It's a little more takes its time. But now, infamously, Rainbow Cotton had this weird snapback mechanic where as soon as you let go of the analog stick, Cotton will snap back to the center of the screen, and as you're kind of fighting with her. They have mentioned that with this modern release that they're going to do something about that. So that's cool. Besides the fact that this game will now be accessible and affordable, and they have announced they're going to be in English localization with it, it also, is going to fix
gameplay issues. Did they announce anything about that? Or I tried to look at it. All I said is full localization. Is there like a...
Yeah, they said full localization of cutscenes. So, that means, I guess, I'm guessing it means English, but it could mean other languages too. They haven't really given many details on that yet, but it's supposed to come out in spring.
They do what we did with the fan translation, just add the subtitles in the video. It's not that hard.
Yeah,
it took me it actually took me a couple of weeks, but I got them all in, guys. I got it all in. You guys can enjoy Rainbow Cotton in English on the Dreamcast. I did it.
That's true. There is a fan translation patch
that somebody might have worked on that we know, maybe.
Maybe two of us on camera right now.
oh yeah, you worked on that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I did. I edited. That's okay.
Right underneath the tracks you go.
Yeah. No, I edited the script and worked on the actual timings for when the different parts of the script should appear on screen and how long they should stay on screen before switching to the next bit of the script. I found a tool online that the BBC uses to determine how long a particular piece of text should stay on screen, a subtitle, depending on how long it is. I guess there's kind of a calculation on how long the average human needs to read a certain amount of text. And so they kind of calculate that for you. So yeah, we use that with that English, that fan localization. So that was really helpful.
I just eye it. So when I did I worked on another project afterwards and I did that, and I usually just eye it to even if it's Japanese, I make sure to have it so I can read it. But I just use I eyeballed it though.
So I'm curious, is this a what do you call it? Is this a port of the Dreamcast code, or is this like a remake? Because I noticed
I think it's a port. It looks like it's the same graphics and stuff.
Yeah, because it's INN, right? INN Games, and they're the same ones that did Air Twister, which is like the Yu Suzuki.
Yeah, and INN Games is just a different label for Strictly Limited games.
Oh, okay,
by the way.
okay.
It's all the same.
Oh, is that right? Oh, okay, all right.
Yep.
Well, I just threw them.
So there's probably
the bus
no.
Right now. Sorry about that, and then pretend you didn't hear me say that earlier. Don't look at the video before.
We all have friendly criticisms of our favorite limited release companies.
Well,
Sorry
it's
about that.
It's kind of like
what's the Missy Elliott? It's reverse it and turn it around or whatever. Somebody get the
I have no idea. I know what you're talking about, but I don't know the lyrics.
The Missy Elliott song. I forgot the name. It's like Verse It, Turn It Around or something like that. I don't know. I'll look it up.
I mean, sooner before too long, it's going to be these companies that we're going to have to go to get physical releases. I'm afraid, because I've been going to like Target and Walmart recently, and I just see fewer and fewer physical Switch games, and more of the little plastic cards that you pay the exact same price for as a physical release, you know? So now,
and not just the Switch, the PS4, the PS5, the Xbox, you know, you walk through those aisles at Target or whatever, and it's half of them are just empty, you know, the slots where there's supposed to be games. It's really frustrating. It's kind of sad to see.
I wonder if there's a manufacturing lag on there for something.
No, I think that publishers are just printing fewer physical games because it costs them more. They have a higher margin if you buy it digitally, and more people are buying games digitally.
Yeah, it's the process of sweeping physical games under the rug, basically.
Yeah,
they want to move. This is quote unquote progress, you know. And I mean, Tom Kalinski's email was prophetic. You know, the one that he sent back in '96 about physical retailers needing to get better margins. You know, they were getting what 6% on a Saturn or on Saturn games, and it was like not that much incentive for brick and mortar stores to sell video games, and so now it's like that card, you go in there and you pay $59.99 for like a Switch game, and you're getting just like a little plastic card that you're turning in for a download. They're making a ton of profit. Like their profit margin is much bigger, you know. And it's like the retail stores and Nintendo are just laughing their way to the bank, because they're like, this is great, people are still buying it, you know, and we don't have to publish anything. We just print these little business cards. We print these little cards, you know. It's sad to me though, as a retro gamer, like as a classic gamer.
Classic gamer certified, baby.
to see physical games go away like that, like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a sadness.
Nothing we can do. It's like, nothing we can do, you know.
I mean, I think PC gaming especially has already gone to just mostly completely digital, because you know, I think that's the one that's like furthest along in all that, down the black hole, as it were.
Yeah, no, and I think that I think maybe I'm a little bit hard on these manufacturers that take a while, because it's like they're probably pushed to the side for the small runs that the other companies do. So I guess the year wait is probably, you know, the new norm, unfortunately. And I don't think a lot of it has to do with a lot of these companies that like publish them, because I know even people give limited run games a hard time, but it's like, you know, they're only printing like 1,000 or so copies of the games versus the tens of thousands that some of these other big ones are, and it's like obviously they get pushed to the front compared to, you know, these other ones. So I guess it's kind of a sadness, really, but I mean, it's the way it is. The variety is not going to be there. It's mostly that's why you only see a couple of games probably. It's like they're printing out 1,000 copies of these big AAA games, but it's like the smaller ones just have to kind of wait their turn, I suppose.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for my ZX Spectrum Next to finally ship. I don't know if this is a whole nother thing, but there was this Kickstarter for this, basically an upgraded version of the old British computer, and the first run had some issues, but they got it all sorted out and got it all out. But then, oh boy, I thought, I want one of those so when they do the second run, and the second run had a whole new set of problems with just first, you know, COVID, then the chip shortage, then the chip that the FPGA they used got discontinued, and they had to completely redesign the board. It was just a mess. But I think that was like the biggest nightmare that I've that might still have a happy ending, because they've got. I think they finally got everything figured out, and they're finally going to, you know, hopefully ship this winter or something, fall or winter.
Yeah. What's up?
Yeah, I've been waiting for 2 years. It better come soon.
I mean, I understand the gripes that people have with companies like LRG, right? And I think the biggest thing is they just they need to be able to be big enough to be able to serve everyone, you know, instead of just, well, I mean, it's in their name, limited run, right? You know, but I mean, that's the thing is I feel like a lot of gamers our age want them to be broader run. You know, we want them to be able to do larger runs that serve all of us instead of just a small segment of the community, because there's a lot of us that we're going to have no choice but to turn to companies like this for physical releases, you know. And I don't want to see the future of physical games just be like these really small limited runs, you know, where they just can't accommodate the demand, you know, or don't want to accommodate see, I don't know how much of it is malicious. I don't know that it's really malicious. It could have something to do.
Any of it's malicious. A lot of it's just like, you know,
like I don't think they're allowed to be saying, oh, we're just gonna print a limited quantity so that, you know, it's because they could make more money. They're not going to make money on the resales, right? You know, they could make more money right now if they made more of them, but maybe they're not in a position to be able to do that. I don't know.
Here's the thing with limited run, with a lot of their games now, I think probably all of them, as far as I know, they don't just say, well, we're only doing 2,000 copies and that's it. Once it's sold out, it's sold out. Right. They do open pre-orders for a month. Right. And they take all the pre-orders that people want to throw at them, and then they close it after that month, and they meet the demand that they get within that month. I think they actually have to print more than that, like they have to round up to the next 1,000. So they end up having extras, which they sell at conventions, and I think they have a real store.
Have a store, exactly.
Yeah, that sort of thing. And they'll put them in mystery sales. So like they do print what now Strictly Limited, on the other hand, is what they do what Limited Run used to do, where they put up their store page for a game and they say, okay, we're only printing 1,500 copies of this, and that's it. Once it's sold out, it's sold out. Now, I don't know if it's a case of Strictly Limited making games that fewer people are interested in, or if they just aren't as well known and don't market themselves as well, but like a lot of their games take a long time to sell out, even though they're only doing 1,500, 2,000 copies. So I don't know.
It could be a prestige thing too.
Genesis library.
I tell you, I love the fact that like Squaresoft, they with Square Enix now, that they do reprints of their games, you know, and you can go onto their site and you can actually buy reprints of DS games and reprints of 3DS games.
That is pretty crazy.
I think it's wonderful. I think it's great because, you know, it helps.
Sure, it's cool. It's just surprising.
It is surprising, but it's an excellent practice that, you know, it's true you may not be getting like the first edition or whatever, and then it's more like books, you know, like you have the first editions and then you have the second editions. But either way, if you want to go buy a physical edition of a game, there's a good chance that you can, you know, if it's one from them. And I think that companies that, I mean, magazines, a lot of times magazines would do, you know, back issues and stuff of certain issues and stuff like that. I mean, I think that it's something that moving forward, companies like Limited Run are going to have to evolve.
Consider,
you know, they might evolve, you know, because time changes, things change, the industry changes. I mean, maybe they evolve as well and are able.
If you think about it, they've released the same game on multiple platforms before in different waves. I know they must have released Shantae a couple times.
More than a couple.
Like the different Shantae versions.
Every other month. Yeah.
So no, like they will still reprint games and print them out with new versions of it. It's just like that. I don't think you're going to see another Shantae on the PS Vita again, if they can even do that anymore.
Like
no, see, that's the thing with certain consoles that have like proprietary media. Those have gotten shut down. You can't print more games for them. The Vita is one of them. The Wii U, you can't print more games for that. The whatever factory was doing that slightly proprietary Blu-ray disc for Nintendo, that shut down.
Right.
So but it's like when something's a little more basic, I suppose. Well, I mean, they must still have DS factories, surprisingly, if they're doing reprints of those.
A company like Square Enix, and a company like Square Enix is big enough that I believe they did a lot of their own publishing in-house, right? You know, so they even DS games, they had the ability to manufacture DS games, and like Martin is saying, you can even buy new copies of Final Fantasy VII on the PS1. That's a great example of a company that knows their market. They know their market. They're like, we know that this game is hot shit and that people still want to play it on the original platform and that they will buy it from us and we can still make money on this versus them going to some reseller on eBay. I mean, I think that's amazing, and I think more companies, at least, you know, that have libraries like Konami and Capcom should do the same thing, you know, where
and
Sega, you know, of course,
you know?
But of course,
Like,
Sega is not
crap,
Sega.
you can.
Sega is, you know, Sega's Sammy Holdings, you know, it's just, you know, it's Capcom's a little bit more in control of their, you know, faculties, I think, right now. Yeah, what they're doing, you know, because they're not just like owned by a holdings company, but yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, like I'm on their store right now. You could right now, if you wanted, you could buy Final Fantasy 12, 10, X2, Final Fantasy XX2 Remaster, and the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Ring of Fate on the PS2, PS3, and DS right now.
Can you get Dragon Quest 8 on the PS2?
Dragon Quest 8 on PS2? I'm not seeing it on the... Actually, let me look on the store, because like I'm in their store right now. Oh, you can do PSP. I'll do the retro console, see what we got. So PS2, PS3, DS. So what you can get is you can get Lord of Arcana, Kingdom Hearts 2, Final Fantasy 12, Final Fantasy XX2, Final Fantasy X, and then X2 Greatest Hits. And then that's all I'm seeing on the store right now for retro
cool
games. But the fact that you could buy them is kind of insane.
Yeah, directly. Yeah. I mean, and what better way to like give the company that made it your money, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, I hope, you know, that more companies will do that, and you know, best wishes to LRG and other companies like them. I don't actually I know there's a lot of like drama and ill will there. I just think that, you know, they got to carry the torch for physical games, because obviously, like, I'm just starting to see them disappear from Target and from Walmart and from other retailers. Like, they're just disappearing off the shelf, and instead in their place is just a little card that says no physical stock, and if you ask a sales clerk, they'll be like, here's a little card, take this, you know, pay full price for this, you know.
I mean, Sega's even not even releasing the new Like a Dragon game physically in North America. It's physical elsewhere, I think Europe and certainly in Japan and Asia. But yeah, North America, Like a Dragon Gaiden is digital only, which just infuriates me. So I'm going to have to import that from Hong Kong to have a physical copy of that with English. It shouldn't be the case, you know. I would love to give my money to Sega of America, but they don't want it apparently.
It's this thing that you love so much, right? You know, it's a game series, it's a franchise that you love so much. You want to have something some physical representation of it. That's number one. Number two, just for game preservation. You know, like, we know that a digital format is not a sure thing. It never is. Yeah. It's all just dependent on their servers, you know, and of course those servers are expensive to run, you know. That just makes me sad, really. And of course it is going to fall on some, you know, it's going to fall on the fans, some company, you know, small company to make it happen. But anyway, I'm just the old man yelling at the sky at this point.
I'm sure
should we move on to our best of Saturn for this week?
You guys fans of Donpachi? I mean, this game is
a game called Donpachi. Probably no one's really ever heard of it. You know,
I'm a big fan of this original one too. Like, Donpachi is great, and it is an improvement, but I really do like the original Donpachi, and it's great on Saturn as well.
It's really beautiful
in all of its tate glory, right?
Or as GameSack says, Tate mode.
Tate mode.
Andrew Tate mode.
That's that always sounds like taint to me. But anyway,
please.
Yes, let's play the taint mode of Battle Garega. Sorry, no, the taint mode of
too Gexy for this.
Let's play the taint mode of was it Game Paradise? Game
Tater's gonna tate.
Gex should
Steam
have
Heart.
the taint mode.
No, Dave, we should play the taint mode of Steam Hearts.
I actually saw someone on Twitter call it like sideways TV mode. And I was like, that's pretty basic. Like, I'm like, you know, so yeah, sideways TV mode. But
Hater's gonna take.
Anyway,
do you guys have any takes on this? It's Cave, you know, and of course doing what they do best. Cave actually made a snowboarding game on Saturn. They made a noodle delivery game on Saturn. But what they did best was they made shmups, and they made some really good shmups. Cave shmups.
Well, and this was Was this the first with like bullet hell shooter or just one of the first?
Do you call Donpachi a bullet hell?
I mean, Peter calls it a bullet hell in his write-up.
I mean,
site.
the roots. You can see the roots of bullet hell shooters in earlier games, like
Battle
toe-plod
Garaga.
shooters. But I think. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying Battle Garaga is a like I would call that a quote unquote bullet hell because there's a ton of bullets and you can hardly see them. You can hardly make them out against the backdrop, and that kind of is hell for there's a lot of it, and your hitboxes or the patterns that you have to go through to avoid them. That would be closer to bullet hell. I don't really consider this a bullet hell because look at what's on the screen here, and you have like these really powerful screen clearing weapons and stuff like that. I don't know, but
honestly, it's interesting. I think there's a lot of like quote unquote bullet hells, but I think the funniest example of one that's actually so much of a bullet hell that's its own genre is the Toho games.
Right.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's just like
Back
it's like
to the Toho games. It all
I'm
comes
just-
back to Toho.
But still, I just think it's funny when people talk about bullet hells. You don't see it listed, but it's like it's weird how separate it is from like other bullet hell games because it's maybe it's like derogatory because of the fan base is not really that
Little
That
unsavory.
little unsavory fan base, and also
believe the term you're looking for is cultured.
play it.
what was that, RJ?
I believe the term you're looking for is cultured.
Oh,
Cultured, yeah, and I don't think a lot of the fans that actually like to like enjoy the fandom do play the games. Not trying to like call them out, but I think they're like legit. There's a lot of people that just like it for the waifus, which I
They just like
understand.
the fan art.
Yeah, I understand that. Like I'm not judging anybody, but I think that's what separates it. Why I think there's a giant gap between that. But sorry about that tangent, but I guess going back to it,
Okay.
I do think that I don't know. Like bullet hell's kind of it's a hard term. Like
yeah,
it's
like
I
Ibarra.
guess- yeah,
Ibarra's a good call. I don't Batsugan is kind of more demanding than Donpachi. I feel like Donpachi is pretty simple, and a lot of the cave shooters were pretty straightforward. Maybe there was a lot of action on screen. They definitely had a high refresh rate and or high frame rate and lots going on, lots of action and stuff like that. But but I don't necessarily feel like they were unfair or anything like that. I feel like I do a lot better at
A
Donpachi.
bullet hell shooter isn't necessarily unfair either. I think what really makes a bullet hell shooter is that it's kind of less about dodging individual bullets and responding to incoming enemy formations and more navigating
Pattern,
the precise way, the pattern of bullets. Like the bullets are almost like a level, almost like a top down
Exactly.
maze that you have to make your way through that is constantly moving and will kill you if you hit the wall, and the wall is a bullet.
And it's more emphasis on the patterns than the actual like bullet like in the
shooting.
Because
The shooting's almost incidental.
Exactly. So I think that's what a big difference between the two are. And I guess with that definition, I don't think Donpachi or Donpachi even reaches that. But I think once you get to the stuff like Battle Grega or stuff like I don't know if Rated Silvergun had it as much as like stuff like I don't know. I think the bullet hell stuff really got more popular during the Dreamcast era. Really.
Definitely, and PS2. With stuff like you mentioned Ibarra. What was the other one that was? There was another one that was a really big. Well, maybe like there was the Donpachi game, Donpachi Daiojo on the PS2 was a little bit more crazy.
Yeah, Subway 2. There's I think Border Down is pretty good. Not Border Down, the other one, Under Defeat.
Yeah.
Raturgy, I don't think Raturgy would count. Maybe True Heart Excelka.
Mushihime-sama, that was the one I was thinking about. So what's the connection with the bee? So there's like a hornet or something. Isn't that what Donpachi? There's
It's Twin Bee, not Twin Bee.
Not Twin Bee, but like one of the bosses is like this giant bee with a beehive and everything like that. Yeah, it's the sprite work on this game is incredible. Folks definitely need to give this one a play if you
honestly,
haven't.
I really love both the sprite work and all the cave games. Just
Oh yeah,
muy perfecto.
even on Deli Soba Deluxe, right?
Delta Deluxe is hella fun. We need to
It's
play
not
that
bad at all. Like, yeah, it's a fun game, you know.
We'll have to do a competition to see who gets the best score at that game or best time.
Noodle Delivery Simulator. Game show noodle delivery simulator.
Literally send nudes.
Right.
Sorry, I had to.
Did you have to?
Well,
didn't
before
have to, but I
we do
wanted
have
to.
one more Assault Suit Leynos 2. Dan, you just wrote this up today, right?
Yeah, I got this out right before the
Saturn tribute. Okay, so this is another one of those Saturn tributes, not S
show.
tribute.
Yes. No,
Full on Saturn
it's
tribute.
all from the same company, though. Yes, full on Saturn tribute, but not full on Saturn tribute boosted. So now we have 3 different labels coming from
Boosted.
City Connection. Yeah, the boosted is what the previous Saturn tribute game Batsugun was called, and that had some extra HUD elements that kind of told you what your score was and stuff like that. I guess they're not going to have all those bells and whistles for Assault Suit Leynos 2 here, but they do have an unprecedented for City Connection feature coming for Assault Suit Leynos 2, and that is an English localization that never existed in this game originally.
Big sound.
Yeah. It was originally a Japanese Saturn exclusive run and gun, you could basically say, but instead of playing as like a little guy, like in Metal Slug, you are a mech. Which is cool, and there is some story during the missions and cutscenes and whatnot. And so I guess it seems like they are hacking a translation into the original game, because of course Saturn tribute games are all the original Saturn game running in an emulator, which is basically like a modified version of the SSF emulator that anybody can use on their own. But yeah, they seem to be hacking one in. Now, I initially thought, oh, they're just gonna have use their Unity wrapper to put an overlay of English text over top of the original Japanese game. But no, they released some screenshots that I have in our article on the website, and it really looks like they modified graphics in the game. So I'm very impressed that they're putting in that effort. I don't know who's doing it for them, or if they took it upon themselves as City Connection to do it themselves. Either way, it's very cool. And their official website does say that other languages are coming as well. So maybe they're going to hack in French or German or Spanish. I don't know. Italian.
So, let me get this straight.
So Moffat said here, I wonder if there's any way they can extract the modified ROM and put that in an emulator or an actual satiator ROM form.
Yeah, that would be super cool. Now, when these games are coming out, like the originally, like Cotton 2 and Cotton Boomerang, people did do some hacking. They were able to extract those games and replace them with other Saturn games to run in the emulator that they ported to the Switch or the PS4 or whatever. So that's actually how PS4 Saturn emulation works. I think they just use the Saturn Tribute emulator. They kind of modified it to work. But I guess after a bit of time, City Connection did start encrypting things to stop people from being able to do that. So, I don't think anyone's broken that encryption on the newer releases.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe someone would have to work on getting around that little problem.
I mean, at least there's some motivation now.
At the very least, they could just play through, and we'll have the game translated, right? So you'd have to do the work. You'd have to do the work, but you would have the translation done. Yeah. So what that's what I was going to say. So what you're saying is this will inform a future community project.
It could.
I certainly hope it does.
Yeah, and there have been a lot of criticisms of these because SSF is a bit of a laggy emulator, and then you've got it running with a Unity wrapper over top of it, which introduces another frame or two of lag. Mm-hmm. So they have worked to make it better. Initially Cotton 2 was super laggy, and people hated it, and I think people have the impression that, well, all of the Saturn Tribute games are like that. And I don't think that's the case. They did patch it to be a little less laggy, and Cotton 2 just on the Saturn has a bit of lag to it. So that was kind of a tough first game for them to put out. I think it gave people a worse impression than maybe is deserved for these later releases. Mm-hmm. They all are going to have a little bit of lag just because you have to go through some kind of a layer here to get it working on a modern console. But I think that this release in particular is worth supporting just because they're putting forth this unprecedented for them effort. Of doing a new English localization of this game. And that really adds a lot of new value to this that you're not going to have from just, getting the game off of certain internet archives.
Absolutely. So, not to mention the fact that it shines more of a light on Saturn, look, you got all these platforms where you can play this game now. And it's just another way that folks can experience these games. So that's a good thing.
Exactly. Yeah. I definitely want to pick this one up for sure when this drops.
I don't think that this is necessarily one of those games that would be completely ruined by a frame or two of lag. You know what I mean? Whereas like a shooter, definitely, some. Certain games would definitely you can feel it more. But Assault Suit Leynos 2, obviously I don't want any lag, but I think that it's, probably they'll probably figure it can live. You can live with it, yeah. I hate saying that, but it is like I'm more for like folks supporting these companies and but trying to support the developers legitimately, if they can, and playing these games.
You're giving your money to the actual rights holders when you buy these Saturn tribute games, which is cool. And for all the different like remakes that we report on that are based on either based on a Saturn game or based on like the PS1 version of a game that also appeared on the Saturn, it's still notable for Saturn fans, but like it's not what we're getting is not the original Saturn game. This with all these are the original Saturn games being distributed legally on modern platforms. I think that's super cool. This is like crazy. The only company doing that, aside from the Japanese exclusive eShop release of Baroque. It's about the only other instance of it I can think of. Yeah. So
I agree. Definitely.
Classic example of you got to vote with your wallet. If you want more of something, you buy it.
Right.
Well, so now they haven't contributes enough.
They haven't announced the cost of this yet. The website still says it's to be determined.
Right.
And we also don't know if there's going to be a physical release. If there is, maybe it's just going to be in Japan. Who knows? We're still waiting on details for that. But their previous releases have, ranged between reasonable and maybe a little much. Wait for a sale. So, but like with Galactic Attack is what I'm specifically thinking of there. They sold both Layer Section, which is the Japanese version, and Galactic Attack, the English version, in one pack. And they basically charged you for two games, even though it's the same game with just two different languages. And they charged like $40 for it or something, I think.
Right.
Which was probably kind of a misstep because if you're buying it, there's not really a difference between the two, like materially. You're only going to play one version of it. So hopefully they learn from that, and when they put out this game, it's going to be more like $20. But we'll see.
Speaking of which,
I think it'll be a palatable price.
One thing I just thought of though is that I wonder if there's going to be a delay in the game because they'll have to rip the Unity engine out.
Yeah, I don't know, all the Unity controversy going on. That every install they're going to charge you for it. That's crazy,
insane. So So have fun ripping that engine out. Maybe we'll actually get a better emulator now.
Oh, hey, by the way, Shadow Mask is going to be streaming on his Twitch channel a little later tonight. He's going to be epic sci-fi saga Wing Commander. Hardly endorse it despite it being a very mid movie. But it's still kind of fun to see Wing Commander stuff.
Right? 90s cheese. Was it 90s or was it early 2000s?
Barely. It was 1999.
Hey, DVD. Like it was like one of those original. Like I think I originally rented that from a Hollywood Video with my roommate. We watched it and I was just like, "What is this, Freddie Prinze Jr.?" And it's like totally not. It's kind of like It was kind of like that movie Hackers, right? Totally not really about hacking, but it was funny and cheesy, and it ended up being entertaining anyway. You know,
Yeah,
it has a lot of good.
Not being about hacking, like.
Well, it was also like
Swordfish.
it was kind of like the original Super Mario Brothers movie, right? You're just like, this is nothing like Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah,
But,
Wing Commander, the ships don't look like they do in the games.
No.
They changed names of things around.
yes, everything
the
is
plot
just
is
yeah.
original. Yeah, it's like it's weird, but it's still a fun time, and it does have a lot of good actors in it. I mean, you know, it's got Matthew Lillard and Freddie Prinze Jr. doing their buddy thing that they do in a lot of different projects like Scooby-Doo.
I was gonna say,
it's got like Jurgen Prochnow, you know, and some of these older established actors.
I think that was just
cool.
That was just the times that it came out. Like film directors were always like, "Oh no, we got to make this edgy. We gotta make this like for adult audiences," and they ended up, you know, straying way too far from the source material. And nowadays they realize it's like there's just a bunch of nerds that want to watch like a movie adaptation of the game, right? Just make it like the game, and people will be happy, right? It was kind of like you remember Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. I was like, what was this? What is this garbage, right? Like, I went and I saw it in the theaters, but I was just like, this is nothing like Final Fantasy. Like, this doesn't... It's like... it's weird.
Yeah.
And they just thought they had to do that.
In the theaters. I saw Wing Commander opening night in the theaters.
Did you really? Wow.
Yeah, and I had a good time at the time, but it's like the more I thought about it, I'm like, I kind of wish that they'd actually stuck closer to the game. That
came out alongside
fun,
the Matrix. Wow. Okay.
It's just crazy that it took them like this long to realize. Oh, hey, if you make a movie that is more like the games, people will go see it and get better reviews. Go figure, right?
Shadowmask, didn't the Matrix come out in '98 though? Like I'm pretty sure.
99.
December '98. I thought it was. I thought it was a Christmas '98 movie. Am I wrong?
I thought it was 99 because like oh no, that might be the DVD when it was released.
Yeah, the DVD came out in 99, but I thought the movie came out in 98. I could be wrong. Matrix was 99. Okay.
Yeah, it says 99.
I stand corrected.
99.
March
99.
Which when
Wing Commander came out. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
That's funny. And what the funny thing is they both do bullet time. They were like the first movies to do bullet time.
It must have been Christmas of '99 that it hit DVD. Then I'm getting all my facts mixed up.
Yeah, honestly, I think
memory
the best
is a fickle
movie
thing.
has to be the one. Did any of you ever see that movie, the one with Jet Li?
Jet Li? No.
Oh yeah, wasn't there a PS2 game with Jet Li that was like a big deal? Like they were making a real big deal about. I remember going to the Bay Area and going to the Sony Metreon, and they actually had Jet Li was there, and they were like promoting this brand new PlayStation 2 game of his Jet Li game or whatever. It was like a kind of a big,
like John Woo's Stranglehold or something like that.
I don't think so. I thought it was Jet Li. David's brain has a glitch in the Matrix.
Let me see if there's a Jet Li game.
Rise to Honor, that's what it was.
Okay.
Thank you, Cerulean. I'm not crazy, I promise.
That's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, it was Jet Li's Rise to Honor. Yeah.
Honestly, they should have made a game on the one because literally, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but literally, it's like an AMV maker from YouTube did the action scenes for this movie. It's insane. Like they got all the cliches, like they had let the bodies hit the floor. They got Down with the Sickness. I'm trying to think what else was
Papa
in there,
Roach. So they got it.
Like it's like this is like the FMV. Like it's crazy. I guess maybe that's where they got the inspiration from because there's a lot of that sort of stuff.
Let the bodies hit the floor.
Yeah.
You know,
all right, well.
On the subject of, early video game movies, before we move on, I always felt there was like this weird period in the early days where it seemed like the people who made these movies were actively embarrassed or had a hatred for the source material.
Yeah. No, I mean, Wing Commander,
source material.
and Wing Commander was made by the creator. It was directed and written by the creator of the game series, Chris Roberts.
Yeah, so that was a weird kind of anomaly example, but you see it with like, so a lot of the early video game movies where it just seems like they not only didn't get it, but they had a hatred for what they were working on, and it's
they wanted to run away from it as far as possible. Which
they
is
didn't
weird.
think that you could. That's the thing. They didn't think that you could just take a straight approach to it and make a game that like now we get a Mario movie with like animated characters and it looks like a Mario game, and that's okay because like that's really what people want, and it took them a while to figure that out, that we didn't want some kind of dystopian Mario dystopian idea of what Mario might be.
Scene where they asked, "What's your name, Mario?" and I said, "That's my Luigi Mario." I probably would have pissed my pants laughing in the theater.
I think what you needed was you needed like filmmakers who grew up with these sorts of stories to come along who would take it seriously, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, which is why like the Ninja Turtle movies were, and I realize that's not necessarily about a video game, but there's a lot of tie in there. That it was a Japanese studio that made them, and I think that they kind of had that charm because the Japanese studios did kind of take a more straightforward approach to making stuff. Whereas, go ahead.
The thing about that first Turtles movie is it's actually a legitly well thought out story and movie that actually seems like
a well-made movie.
Yeah.
It cared about the source material. It embraced it.
Yeah.
In a way that I feel like a lot of movies based on these like children's quote unquote kids shows or properties or whatever didn't.
Yeah, honestly, shouts out to Jim Henson too. I think without the Jim Henson company doing the animatronics and the puppets, that movie would have been.
Oh yeah, they did such a good job.
All the parents complained, and so they dumbed it down in the sequels.
Yeah,
when I was a kid, I preferred the sequels, but now as an adult, I really appreciate the first one and what they were doing there from a story perspective and characters perspective.
I just pretend the other two don't exist, and my life's much happier. But
the Ninja Turtles movie was pretty good.
And I'm going to say something that when I was a little kid, this is you're totally going to revoke my geek card for this, but when I was like 4 or 5 years old, my favorite was the third one.
I mean, I could see the charm of it. I mean, it definitely was a different one.
You can't be blamed for what you liked when you were a kid. You were a kid, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, fair, exactly.
I thought Pokemon the first movie was cinema masterpiece.
Right.
I mean, obviously I was correct in my assumption, but that was probably a bad example. But maybe there's probably other things. But I know that I was right on that one, though. That's 100% fact.
Yeah. Oh, I went to see that in the theater. That was the one movie I had to wait in line to see. But I made the most of it because I would trade my little Burger King toys with the other kids, in line. So I was full in the spirit on that one.
That's
as
funny.
well.
I did the same thing, except I just beat up the kids for their cards. But that was a whole nother. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, I guess really to circle back. Where were we talking about? We
were talking about
Wing
film
Commander.
adaptations.
Sorry,
Wing Commander.
Wing Commander.
Oh, because Shadow Mask is showing it tonight. Yeah, VHS.
An hour and 25 minutes and counting as the show goes on.
If he's not still stuck at work, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I
need to read off our Patreon supporters because we do really appreciate. Wow, and we've got some here that are just really helping us out quite a bit financially. But so I'm reading off the $10 and $20 patrons here on the show. You guys, A Murder of Crows, of course. Kay, we love you. Blue Moon 95, Cerulean, Chris Piper, Pipe Dreams Games, Chris 1997 XX, Daniel Fredrickson, David Zaney, who we've got here in the chat with us. Shouts David. Derek Pascarella, A Team. Emerald Nova, Fat Drunk Friend Otaku, Gem Clasher Rank, Johannes Fetz, Mr. Joe Engine himself. We've got Justin, we've got Memphis, we've got Nate Lawrence, Normal Guy, Nutrageous, Robert Ramsey, Rowan Dinked, I believe he's here too. Shouts Rowan. Sega Steve, Shadow Mask, of course, Stoneman, Tanuki Trev, and Young Money Sweet. All you guys have supported us at the $10 and up level, and we really, really appreciate you for helping us host the website, the podcast. Go to PRGE. It's going to be awesome. We appreciate your support for that, the magazine, everything. And then everybody else who contributes to us financially, we really, really appreciate your support as well. And even if you can't support us financially, as we always say, you guys can still support us, with your moral support and just, your patronage of being a part of our community and being a part of the conversation, right, Pat? Like they can share us.
Just participate and just participate. That's all we really want. Like honestly, that was my goal from why I wanted Shiro. I just want people to care about what I want to do.
Yeah. I mean, people, the number of people that contribute to this community are what make it great, and there are what add to people like Arjack coming in and deciding I'm gonna try to do this, even though it's really difficult and it's gonna be a challenge. And then you hook up with other people to help you, and before you know it, here's another community project done, and folks can appreciate it and they can enjoy it, and that's what we're doing, is keeping the Saturn love alive. So you don't have to give us any money to do that. If you do, we love it, but and we're very, very grateful because you're helping us produce everything here. But if you can't, just being here, a part of this community is all we ask. Join the Discord and be a part of the chat. You guys can do tournaments, Double Dime host tournaments on Netlink, so you can get your Saturn online in 2023, and you can play against other people. There's a growing roster. It's growing every day, and there's new folks adding on, and that's great. So you can join the tournaments. What else? What other kind of cool stuff can they do? That we have quiz. We have some hot takes forums, and we have some different conversations, technical conversations.
We have me posting my anime crap all the time. We have a lot of good discussions. There's
Music discussion.
We love anime crap.
Yeah, that's true. We all kind of like anime crap. That's
we're weeaboo. So if you like weeb stuff too, join us and let's weeb.
Oh,
weeb it out, weeb it over.
There's a technical support channel. If you have questions about your Saturn and you need help, and maybe you're brand new to the Saturn, so you don't take everything for granted. It might actually, there are video issues that happen with Saturns. The lasers go. There are different issues that Yeah, there's stuff that people might be able to help you with if you get on over into our Discord and ask.
I think we do have copies of the magazines left. Neil is asking.
We do. Yeah, we do.
Yeah. We've got on the website.
We've got the $5 and the $10, and the only difference really, they're both slick. It's just the $5 ones have some misnumbering issues in them. But the magazine is correctly, the pagination is correct. It's just some of the numbers on the page are incorrect, and for that reason, it doesn't meet the quality seal of being able to charge full price for it. So we've got plenty of those.
Yeah, and no one can say that we don't plug other people's stuff, because I just sent someone asked for the Microsoft Binbo shirt. I posted that in the chat. For Nick Robinson's merch store on the chat. So if you want one of those, that you get it right here from that merch store. I don't know how much, it was a limited thing, so I don't know how many he has left, but it looks like he has all the sizes still. So if you guys want a Microsoft Binbo's Anime OS 10 shirt, you can go get one over at that link right there. So
Neil asks what's the shipping? It's killer.
Expensive.
It's absolutely ridiculous. It's asinine. But I tell you what, if you're from the UK, I will send you the magazine for the price of shipping. Okay, which it's the best we can do. If you are gonna buy the magazine on our website, I'll refund you whatever the $5 or whatever for the actual magazine, and you'll pay whatever the shipping is, which I think is $21. It's really ridiculous. That it costs $21 to ship, and that's just using USPS, right? Which is if I were to do it like UPS or FedEx, it would be even more expensive.
Wow.
So I apologize to the folks in the UK, because I really do.
We might be over there eventually, so if you guys want to wait and go to a con in the UK, maybe
that's another
be
possibility.
Servicing you with the magazine. Well, that sounded really wrong. We might be selling the magazine.
Servicing you with a magazine. We'll just roll it up.
Exactly. Just
okay.
Okay. So, This show
like I said-
has a reputation for being completely appropriate.
Yeah,
I wasn't being
you're
raunchy.
professional.
Yeah.
You're just being Pat.
But I mean, I can
Hey.
honestly say, as somebody who buys magazines and imports them as well, it's killer to me too. Like on eBay, when I almost, it never makes sense for me to buy a single issue of a magazine from the UK. Like, it only makes sense if I buy it in a lot, because it costs the same amount to ship the lot than it does to just ship one issue. You know, it's just so it's ridiculous. But yeah,
Lots of money.
but like I say, we want our UK listeners to be able to read the mag, and I just feel so bad having them pay something ridiculous for it. So like I said, we had another dude who was in the UK who bought it, and I was just like, here's the price of the mag back, and he paid for the shipping, you know, because what's it to us, right? Like, right, Pat?
Yeah,
Not a
sure.
big deal, right?
Yeah, honestly, the issue is that we just want to get the magazine out there.
Yeah, we
you
want to
know?
get it out there, and we want people to be able to enjoy it.
I mean, we already paid for it like 3 times over at this point, so it's like
Right. Yeah. So we've gotten our money back, and like I got several of these in my garage, and if we have any more tropical storms, that's not going to be good for them. So I want to get them out.
yeah. We'll be bringing the PRGE. I forgot to mention that we're doing
Yes.
PRGE SaturnDave panel, the 11
What's
a.m.
money
right?
anyway? Sasquatch says, right? Well, that's
Yeah,
true.
if you
Pat
want a
always
copy
makes that
and you're in
argument. Like
Portland,
sometimes
you there
it's
too.
like you can always get the money back, right? But you can't get a certain item. This SHIRO mag is going to be hot property one day, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Collector's item. It'll be in a
It's gonna be
museum.
awesome when we get issue
Isn't it
2
in a
out.
museum? Isn't it in a video game
It
museum?
is
yeah.
actually. It's in the
Yeah, there's a copy.
Video Game History
There you go.
Museum. Yeah, thanks
It's
to
value.
shouts to Kelsey who made that
Kelsey
happen.
and
Yeah, and Frank
Cifaldi.
Cifaldi. Yeah, so
Cool.
Snatcher Fund. Oh, is that happening, Pat? You said that
Have you gotten
there's
Snatcher
a
yet?
well, no, he's gonna bring some money to PRGE, right, and try to get a physical copy of Snatcher. That's
We'll
the plan,
see,
right?
We'll see.
Oh, is he?
more than
Okay.
likely no, but we'll see.
Can I
Likely
get a
not.
timeshare on that?
Yeah. All right.
You can come to my house and play it. That's the timeshare.
Well, let's do our outro, I guess. So thanks, RJack, for joining us. We really appreciate your time
Thank
talking
you
about.
again.
Thanks.
Get everybody go out and download JB Herald and check that
Play
out.
it right now.
Go play it right now. You must play your Sega Saturn. This is SaturnDave, TraynoCo, and Danthrax reminding you that you must play
Yes.
Sega Saturn. Until
You
next time.
must.
Peace.
SEGA SATURN シロ